and he's trying to make $1 million so he can retire. That's all he needs to retire is $1 million, and he's willing to do anything to get that $1 million and to eliminate anyone who gets in his way to do that.
He told me that when he got Oceans, Steve called the producers to try to get his role and even wanted to take less money, and the producers told Steve no.
He has enough problem being vilified himself as a racist because he uses nigger in his scripts that much or puts those kinds of words in a character's mouth.
To me, he's just a character. He was a guy. He had a job. He did his job a specific way.
Samuel L. Jackson just hinted that Steve Harvey's family man image might be one of the biggest scams in showbiz. Word on the street is Sam's about to crack open the real story behind Steve's rise, and trust me, it's not all jokes, smiles, and tailored suits. Rumor has it there's a darker side to the story.
Take the praise for what it is, or understand that, okay, if I do this, it's gonna be more trouble than it's worth.
That's right.
You know, so a moment of instant gratification.
From the outside looking in, Samuel L. Jackson and Steve Harvey seem like two people living their dream. Yachts, private jets, luxury vacations, the kind of lifestyle most people can only imagine.
So I was on vacation with Sam one time, Samuel Jackson. We was in Portofino, we had finished dinner one time. We walking back to go get on this boat. Hey, you're Samuel Jackson, I want to take a picture.
Magic Johnson.
Right.
Steve Harvey. I hear y'all take vacations together on the yacht or something.
Well, we get on the boat with Magic and Cookie. Steve and Marjorie have their own boat.
We've seen the glossy photos, the smiling couples, the big group shots with Magic Johnson and his wife Cookie. But apparently those brotherly moments might have been nothing more than a photo op. Because when Samuel was asked about those luxury getaways, he said this.
Magic Johnson.
Right.
Steve Harvey. I hear y'all take vacations together on the yacht or something.
Well, we get on the boat with Magic and Cookie. Steve and Marjorie have their own boat.
Now that one line said more than a whole interview could. It wasn't just clarification. It was Samuel politely saying, "Don't lump me in with that man." And fans felt that energy. For years, the tabloids painted this lavish picture of Hollywood's most glamorous couples. Samuel and LaTanya, Steve and Marjorie, Magic and Cookie, all vacationing like lifelong pals. But Samuel's tone in that interview suggested something different. And let's be real, Samuel isn't known for throwing shade by accident. So when he drew that line between himself and Steve, people started side-eyeing. And what's wild is that at first everyone thought this was just a small clarification. But the more people dug into it, the more it started to look like there was some history there. Because if you connect the dots, that awkward boat moment makes a whole lot more sense once you find out who Steve allegedly betrayed and why Samuel still hasn't forgiven him.
Over the years, I'm really glad that I got a chance to see Bernie achieve all those things he wanted to achieve. The acting in movies, the television show that was so successful and so wonderful to watch.
Now this is where the story really takes a turn. Samuel L. Jackson and the late Bernie Mac weren't just co-stars. They were brothers. They filmed Soul Men together, shared laughs on and off camera, and were two Chicago-bred legends who deeply respected each other's grind. Long before the fame, before the money, before the lights, they dreamed of making it big together. And when Bernie passed away in 2008, Samuel didn't just lose a friend, he lost a piece of his heart. He spoke about Bernie with nothing but love and loyalty.
I knew he was having some health issues, and I was really concerned about him, but he would look at me every day and say, "I'm good, let's go, let's hit it." And we would hit it.
But here's where it gets messy. Steve Harvey was also part of that same comedy brotherhood. The four original kings of comedy, Steve, Bernie, Cedric the Entertainer, and D.L. Hewley were a force. But behind the jokes and sold-out arenas, things weren't as good as they looked. Rumor has it, during that Kings of Comedy tour, Steve's ego started rubbing people the wrong way. He was allegedly competing with his own peers, trying to be the main attraction while Bernie's raw comedy and effortless crowd control stole the show night after night. And according to several industry folks, Steve didn't like that one bit. Cedric the Entertainer even touched on it years later on Club Shay Shay with Shannon Sharpe, confirming that there was real tension between Steve and Bernie. He said the reason they never reunited for another Kings tour was because the friendship had cracked and that crack never healed.
Yeah, I mean, they were the kind of guys that they both alpha males, like they they both, they just saw it different, what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, they was able to get through it.
You guys, is that one of the reasons why you didn't do? You did the first part, and then the second part.
I think, of course, that was, definitely a contributing circumstance.
Bernie himself wasn't shy about it either. In a 2003 GQ interview, he said Steve was jealous and had tried to block him from getting movie roles, claiming Steve would talk down on him to producers behind closed doors. Steve denied that, of course. He said it wasn't true and that people were twisting things. But let's be honest, when one of the most beloved comedians of all time goes on record saying his peer tried to sabotage him, that's not something fans ignore.
So the argument was, Steve, you going last again. I'm going, hell no. No, man, we all getting the same check. Dog, I'm out here working. It's hard to follow. Now I got to follow DL, Said, and Bernie. Now Bernie by himself.
So when Samuel L. Jackson gives off that "I don't rock with Steve" energy, people can't help but wonder if he's carrying that torch for Bernie, protecting his friend's legacy, even years after his passing. Because if there's one thing we know about Samuel, it's that loyalty means everything to him. He's not going to sit next to someone who allegedly wronged one of his closest friends, especially not someone who, in the public eye, tries to play the role of man of God while old Hollywood whispers tell a different story. And that's why, to this day, fans are convinced that Samuel's quiet shade isn't random. Because if you're wondering why Samuel still side-eyes Steve Harvey after all these years, it might have everything to do with how Bernie's story ended and how Steve came out on top.
Bernie sat in the rocking chair. And I went, man, because you got Said, warm him up, Bernie in the rocking chair. You closing behind these dudes is rough. So that's where we had our little...
Is that where you and Bernie butted heads?
That was our only odds. Because y'all got to give me a chance to win too. And they ain't never want to switch. So the whole year, we did that. And then we brought in Guy Torrey, and Guy Torrey hosted the show.
We all know that in comedy, there's always a little friendly competition. Every comic wants to get that louder laugh, that longer standing ovation, that one viral moment that makes them a legend. But according to people who were actually there, Steve Harvey didn't see it as friendly competition. He saw it as war.
See, the first year, it was just me, Bernie, and Said.
Okay.
And that was rough, man. And the first night we did it was a disaster, man. It was for me. Mm-hmm. Great for Bernie and Said, because they went up first.
Right.
Said went up first. Now the deal was to do 30 minutes.
Right.
Said went out there, did 45. Bernie did 52. I don't know if you've ever followed Bernie Mac before. It ain't what you want.
While Bernie Mac built his name on being a man who told stories about pain, family, and the streets with a truth that made people feel something, Steve was the opposite. His style was smoother, more polished, leaning into charm, charisma, and that businessman mentality. He was the guy talking about faith and success. But apparently, that same business mindset rubbed a lot of comedians the wrong way. It wasn't just about jokes. It was about ego. In Steve's eyes, there could only be one king of comedy, and he wanted it to be him. Even years after Bernie's passing, other comedians were still calling Steve out for how he treated Bernie. And one of the loudest voices was none other than Cat Williams.
And I know the truth. You think I'm gonna let you shit on Bernie and then come get me? I'm the next king? You. Why? Because the whole time Bernie was here, you was acting like you was funnier than him. The reason you was supposed to go last is because it was your tour. Tell the truth. It was Steve's tour.
You know Cat is the guy who will call out anyone. And in one of his interviews, he went on to accuse Steve of not only hating on Bernie, but also lying about his own come-up story. According to Cat, Steve exaggerated his rags to riches background, claiming he'd been homeless, living in his car, grinding for survival, all to sound more inspirational on his talk shows. Whether that's true or not, it fed into the growing belief that Steve Harvey wasn't just a comedian, he was a brand manager, someone who would tweak any detail of his past if it helped sell an image.
This the same Negro that hated on Bernie with this same thing.
And here's where it gets even more interesting. Cat was actually offered a spot in the Kings of Comedy sequel, a revival that could have made him millions. But he turned it down. He said he didn't want to be part of something that disrespected Bernie Mac's legacy. He didn't want to sit next to the man Bernie once accused of blocking him. That's how deep the loyalty ran in the comedy community. and how deep the mistrust around Steve went.
They came to me. I was supposed to be the fourth king. I got the offer.
Then what happened?
But I turned it down.
Why?
Because you shit on Bernie.
Fans started connecting dots again. They looked back at interviews, tour footage, and even old red carpet clips where Steve would downplay Bernie's impact or dodge questions about him altogether. The pattern was clear. Steve liked to be the star, even if it meant dimming someone else's light. And when Cat Williams threw gasoline on that fire, calling Steve out for years of jealousy and manipulation, it reignited the old feud all over again. But if you think the drama ended there, oh no. Because apparently Bernie Mac wasn't the only comic Steve allegedly stepped upon. In fact, over the years, it seems Steve's been beefing with half the comedy world.
I'ma step to you. I don't give a f***. I'ma step to you. If you stealing my shit, you and your family. That's what I ain't lying. You trying to steal my shit, you.
Let's talk about one of the biggest crimes in the comedy world, stealing jokes. And guess who's been hit with that accusation more than once? Yep, it's Steve Harvey. One of the first major accusations came from Mark Curry, the beloved comedian and star of Hangin' with Mr. Cooper. Mark claimed that Steve not only took his material, but used it word for word on his own platform.
Well, Steve stole my material on his show, so I had a beef on that.
On what show?
When he was on the bullshit talk show he had, and he did all my Halloween material one Halloween. I'm watching, somebody called me and said, man, homeboy doing your material. So he did my whole Halloween run. And I know he didn't think of it. You know, this is true stuff that really happened to me. And so my thing is, you don't have to do that, homeboy.
Right.
So, you know, you made enough money.
According to Curry, he had this classic Halloween bit from back in the day, and years later, Steve performed the same exact routine on his talk show in 2015. Mark didn't just talk, he brought receipts. Fans shared clips from both performances, lined them up side by side, and the similarities were hard to ignore.
Halloween was a trip. Halloween, we couldn't afford no Halloween costumes. Hey, kids, please. Mama sent us down to the liquor store, put boxes on us. We didn't know what we were.
I don't know what we are. I don't know. She didn't tell her. I think we UPS, I guess. I don't know. You've heard me say that every Halloween I had the same outfit on. Every year. I just had a brown box. No, it wasn't nothing sad. I asked my father, could I have a new outfit? And he said, no, just wear the same one. And it was just a brown box. And he just told me to tell everybody I was a UPS man.
And who jumps in again to back Mark up? You guessed it, Cat Williams. Cat claimed Steve not only stole jokes, but also stole Mark Curry's whole show. According to him, Steve used Curry's format and energy to shape parts of his own TV hosting style.
The same Steve that went to go watch Mark Curry do his whole sitcom and then stole everything Mark Curry had. Now Steve got a sitcom where he the principal and he wear a suit.
When reporters pressed Steve about these claims, he wasn't exactly humble in his response.
Mark Curry says that you're still stealing his jokes.
Hey man, listen to me.
Yeah.
Now this I'm getting sick of this right here.
Yeah.
Mark Curry need to grow up. Steve Harvey has been on stage since 2015.
Well, he said he used them on your show.
Ask Mark Curry what joke he's talking about. Tell him to grow up, man.
That's Steve's go-to move right there. It's the same response he gives whenever old drama resurfaces. Deny it and move on. But here's the thing, the internet doesn't move on. Once fans saw those side-by-side clips, they weren't letting it go. A person commented saying, "What hurts more is that it is not just a joke." Mark Curry said he actually lived through it, and his pops' real life had him reusing it every Halloween. Another one wrote, "Boycott Steve Harvey. He is a lying thief. He never was homeless, and he is not a good person at all." And while Steve ignored these comments like it was beneath him, the pattern started to stick. Every time a new comic accused him of copying or controlling, it chipped away at that squeaky clean mentor image he tries to project. Because that whole grown-up attitude, yeah, that's been Steve's trademark defense, not just when it comes to the comedy beefs, but especially when people start digging into his personal life.
When I think about how quickly he moved forward from me to Marjorie, that was disturbing.
Here's where things start to hit a little too close to home. While Steve Harvey has built his whole empire around giving advice on love, faith, and family, his off-camera life tells a completely different story. Steve's public image is of a wise mentor, a devoted husband, and a man who turned his pain into purpose. But behind that million-dollar smile, things have been messy. Let's rewind to the early 2000s, back when Steve was still married to his second wife, Mary Shackelford. They were together for over a decade, had a son, Winton, and from the outside, they looked like the perfect family. But when that marriage fell apart, the allegations that came out after were explosive.
This man has been married 3 times. How could he possibly write a book on relationship? How can he be a guru?
Mary accused Steve of cheating on her with his now wife, Marjorie Harvey, long before the divorce papers were even signed. And not only that, she also claimed there was physical and emotional abuse in their household, particularly involving their son. Things got so bad that she sued Steve for $60 million, alleging torture, kidnapping, and emotional distress.
You know, his lawyers came in, his team of lawyers and his entourage, and, you know, he's a man with the power. He's in 60 markets. He's written these books. You know, he's socially connected with the programs and Disney and all these type people. It's easy for him to come to court and say, oh, this woman has no job. You know, socially, she is of no significance.
Steve's team moved fast. His lawyers got a gag order against Mary, effectively silencing her from speaking publicly about their divorce. And that's when fans started raising eyebrows. Because think about it. If nothing happened, if it was all lies, why would there be a need to shut her up? Mary herself spoke out before the gag order came in.
As I sit and talk and speak right now, there's a lawsuit that's been filed against me in Texas. Because in Steve's opinion, I was responsible. I was responsible when Oprah did not give him a TV show. I'm being sued for that as I sit here on this sofa today. So as much as I'm trying to move forward, I keep getting pulled back into a situation that I don't want to be a part of.
That line hit like a punch. You could feel her frustration, like she'd been painted as crazy while Steve was getting praise for being the relationship guru. And that's what made people question the whole family man act. Because how does a man preaching faith and forgiveness on stage turn around and silence the mother of his child in court? Even now, clips from that old court battle pop up online every few years, and every time, people ask the same question. Was Mary lying, or was she just outmatched by Steve's power and connections? The irony of it all is wild. The same man who wrote Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Man was allegedly living a full-blown soap opera behind the scenes.
So if anybody is acting scorned, it is him and not me.
Over the years, more whispers about Steve's controlling behavior have surfaced. From ex-staffers, ex-friends, even guests on his shows who said the TV Steve and the real Steve are 2 completely different people. So now, when fans look back at that yacht moment with Samuel L. Jackson, where Sam casually separated himself from Steve, they can't help but wonder if there's more to it. Because maybe, just maybe, Sam saw the cracks long before the public did. And the more we dig into Steve's past, the more it looks like Samuel L. Jackson's quiet shade might be more than just a coincidence.
I've never met so many cowards and our black men in show business. I've never met so many black men that have no goddamn backbone.
Unlike most Hollywood stars, Sam doesn't need to get loud to make a statement. He lets his words do the talking. When asked about his time with Bernie Mac, Jackson said this.
And I love the fact that when I came to Chicago and I was doing Negotiator, Bernie took care of me.
Simple, right? But to fans who've been following this secret beef for years, that wasn't just a nostalgic comment. That was him saying, I know who the real king of comedy was. It wasn't about who had the most shows or who made the most money. It was about character, loyalty, brotherhood. And that one sentence was different because it reminded people that Bernie Mac was the one who had Jackson's back, not Steve. When Soul Men came out, the last film Bernie Mac worked on before he passed, Samuel personally pushed to have the movie dedicated to both Bernie and Isaac Hayes. He wanted the credits to reflect who these men really were legends. That wasn't just a professional gesture, that was respect. That was Samuel L. Jackson making sure Bernie's name lived on with honor. Meanwhile, Steve Harvey was busy moving on launching books, talk shows, radio shows, brand deals. and even turning his motivational persona into a multi-million-dollar empire. It was like he used success as his revenge. Jackson doesn't chase validation. He's not trying to win Hollywood. He's already respected for who he is. So when you see him distancing himself from people like Steve, it tells you that some bridges just aren't worth crossing again. And that's why fans keep bringing this moment back up. They see Jackson honoring Bernie, keeping his legacy alive, while Steve continues to profit off of a polished version of himself, and the contrast couldn't be clearer. It's two completely different definitions of success, one built on loyalty and integrity, the other built on control and image. And with all these old stories bubbling back up, the joke theft accusations, the jealousy claims, the ex-wife drama, fans are starting to wonder, how long can that fake image really last before it finally starts to crack? Because even though Steve Harvey's sitting on top of an empire right now, Samuel L. Jackson's recent shade might be the reminder that no amount of fame can cover up the truth forever. What do you guys think? Is Samuel just paying respect to Bernie Mac, or is his silence about Steve Harvey a message to the industry that the real story hasn't been told yet? Leave your thoughts in the comments.